put the right one in, and he assumes the count. Appeals made after the improper batter has completed a time at bat and before the next pitch or play or attempted play. The proper batter is called out. Any advances during that time are legal. You leave them where they are because they didn't do anything wrong. Any runner advances made as direct results of the improper batter's action are not legal. And the next batter to be in the batter, or his next batter to be up would be the one that's in the proper position who was called out. Real simple. You have Smith, Abel, Baker, Jones. Smith is the proper batter with Abel on deck. Improper batter Jones gets up, gets on base. Now he's called out. Smith is called out because Jones batted in his place. The next batter you're going to send up is Abel, and then the improper batter sent back to the bench to get another crack at it, and another two batters. So basically, he screws Smith out of a turn at bat, which, like I said, I'm sure he's going to have a few choice words to speak to him. The appeal is made after the next pitch, play, or attempted play. The improper batter and his actions are legal. All base runners' advance are legal, and the batting order picks up with the batter who follows the legalized improper batter. So if you have Jones up and he gets on base and they throw to the next batter, whoa, it's not the right batter. Well, then you're going to take, okay, Jones is on base. Who follows Jones? Whoever. Now he's the proper batter, and those other three guys lose their turn at bat. So, like I said, it can get messy, and I hate talking about it. But like I said, it can go so many different ways, and I don't know if you've had to deal with it. It's like a paper nightmare trying to figure out who did what, where they were, what the pitch. And like I said, I really hate this. Having to deal with it on a game. It's probably my least favorite thing to have to rule on.
One key thing is to remember, as he was saying, a pitch is shown to the next batter.
Everything's legal.
Everything's legal.
Right, and if they say, well, he's not the right batter, right, well, let's see, if Jones is the wrong batter, now he becomes a legal batter, who's after Jones? Well, that's Bradley, right? Well, Bradley's now the next batter, and that's where you take up the thing. And those other guys, like I said, they get screwed out of the time at bat. But these coaches aren't looking or following. Some guys are, some guys aren't. When I coached with a very intense woman. Her job during defense, she's directing the field, she's working with that pitcher and catcher. I'm following the runners. I don't know how many outs I got on appeal from girls missing the base. Because that was my job as the assistant coaches. I'm watching these girls run the base. She missed second base. That's appeal. Ball comes back to the pitcher. They get ready to Blue, we're appealing. She missed second. You're out. Boom, gone. Another out. We never had any heavy hitters. We had a lot of speed, and we watched the game. As a coach, you watch the field. Same thing as an umpire. You got to watch those bases because if they come to you and go, we're appealing. She missed second. Huh? What? Oh, what other thing? I know he's probably going to say the same thing. I will never want to see anybody like this in between an inning. Because if it was up to me, I'd grab the phone and I would chuck it. This is not something you have on a field. I have a phone on me in my ball bag in case I have weather, which we'll go over shortly. But for the most part, this never comes into the game. This stays in your bag. It stays off the field. Because if you're working with me and I see a phone get pulled out, I'm going to ask you to leave the field. Because you're not prepared to work the game. You're too busy with this thing. And I had to work at the church last night with the high school students. And you want to know how hard it was to get these things away from them? We had a basket. You put it in the basket, and a lot of them were like, no, I'm not doing it. Well, I guess you're not going to do the performance. And we told them, put the phone away, put it in the basket. That way, because during practice, they all kept pulling it out and doing this. It's a lifeline to you guys. It's not that big of a deal to us. We deal with it every day, and every time that phone rings, it's like, oh crap, it's work probably. Yeah, it's work. You guys are talking to your friends and whatnot. To us, it's a pain right in the butt. Because we grew up without any of this technology. You know, so I mean, it can help you, but it's a pain in the butt. Obstruction is an act of a fielder who, while in not possession of the ball and not in the act of fielding the ball, impedes the progress of a runner. the play is being made on a runner who's obstructed, the ball is immediately dead. And I've got videos to show you all this. No play is being made on a runner who's obstructed, the ball is a delayed dead ball, which is that arm out to the side. You don't yell it out, you put your arm out. Because if you got someone running the base, I go, obstruction! What is everybody gonna do? They're gonna stop. You keep the game going. You put it out to the side. Now my plate umpire, he sees my obstruction, and then we're gonna let the play finish. And if the runner gets to the base, and I think in my judgment, they would have made, if they were not obstructed, the obstruction goes away. But if the kid gets tagged out or whatever, like I had a play, girl running around third base, smashes into the third baseman who was not in the play, was not receiving the ball, but drilled. They both collided. She got back up by the time the catcher's sitting there with the ball at the plate going, come on, and tags her out. My plate umpire doesn't see this. I'm over at first, I've got my arm out, and I'm coming down there and telling them, no, we have obstruction on the third baseman, runner's now safe. Coach comes out, you talk about it, you tell him what you saw. Well, no, coach, the ball was still in the outfield. The third baseman was not receiving the ball, was not in the remotely getting ready to receive the ball, and she got in the runner's way. Because you know how everybody's running around the bases, you take that wide turn because you're running so fast. That's still their base path.
Yeah, we see that, especially in the minors, at first base all the
Yeah.
time. Ball's hitting the outfield, the first baseman's on the base, and the runner, it's got to almost come to a stop before they can proceed to second base. It's a real problem.
That's an obstruction, and like I said, you throw that arm out, and you wait for the play to finish. And then if you're in your judgment, if that obstruction didn't happen, would they have made it to second? You don't know that, but you're still going to give them second.
For me, most likely times, like Sean said, at first base, you got first baseman who was standing in the line, watching the play, or sometimes the shortstop.
Yep.
They'll be doing the same thing. They'll be watching the play and not right there in the middle of the line.
All right. Play being made on an obstructed runner. Time is called immediately. Dead ball! Obstruction. And you award them the bases. Obstructed runners award the base one base beyond the last base they occupied. And all runners advance one base if forced. If not forced, they advance or return to the base accordingly to your judgment. Just because you get into a pickle and the guy's going back to first and is obstructed, coach, well, he gets first. That's all he gets. That's all where he's on. No, he gets second. Doesn't matter where that obstruction happened in that pickle. That runner is awarded one base. And it isn't the base that he's already legally held. It's the next base. So he gets to go to second, which you'll have coaches who'll argue that one until you're blue in the face. Play not being made on an obstructed runner. Obstruction is not called until all action stops. Like I said, you throw that arm out. You let your partner know, I've got an obstruction. After the play is completed, time is called, ball is dead, and you call the obstruction if it's warranted. Like I said, if you think in your mind he was only going to get the second and he got the second safely, the obstruction goes away. And all runners advance or return to the bases according to your judgment. And I know I have a video here. Hopefully it'll play.
This is an example of obstruction when a play is not being made on the runner. In this scenario, the batter hits a ball into left field. After rounding first base, the batter runner collides with the first baseman and the umpire signals obstruction. However, the play is allowed to continue. The batter runner slides into second base and is called out. The umpire then calls time and calls the runner safe because of the obstruction. Now watch the entire video sequence.
Guys,
If the runner is forced to go around a player who does not have the ball, it is considered to be obstruction. The umpire could award one or more bases if he or she believes the runner could have reasonably reached those bases safely. However, if the runner reaches the base that the umpire believes he or she would have reached without the obstruction and tries to advance further and is put out, the out stands. If the fielder does not have the ball and simulates a tag on the runner with the intent of making the runner slow down or stop, obstruction can be called. For scorekeeping purposes, an error is charged to the fielder who committed the obstruction.
Like I said, you're not going to call that's obstruction. Especially at your levels, they're going to stop in this play. Throw the arm out. That's why we have the mechanic of the dead ball arm signal. And afterwards, if Danny Cavallo's around, do not go, you! Last time I checked, I don't allow sheep on my field. It's runner, second base, or player, second base. That right there, he sees that and he cringes every time he sees that play or that video and they go, you, second base. And I'm thinking, I gotta agree with them. They're not a you, they're a person. So that's that respect thing. Player, runner, second base, all right? I got another video for when there is an obstruction.
This is an example of obstruction when a play is being made on the runner. In this scenario, the batter hits a ball into left field. The throw from left field easily beats the runner to second base, and the runner is caught in a rundown. However, while retreating to first, the runner collides with the first baseman, who does not have the ball. The umpire immediately calls time, signals obstruction, and instructs the runner to advance to second base. Now watch the entire video sequence.
Time! That's obstruction. You, second base.
On this type of obstruction, the ball is immediately dead. The umpire awards one base to the runner, even if the obstruction occurred when the runner was headed back to the base that was last occupied. Even though the obstruction may be unintentional, it should be called. For scorekeeping purposes, an error is charged to the fielder who caused the obstruction.
One thing you gotta be careful about these things is the runner's ability to pull your call. And what I mean by that is, you're in the pickle and they're not gonna throw it, they're gonna let him get back to the base, and the fielder is off to the side where he's a clear shot, the runner runs right into him. Is that obstruction? It's not unintentional, that's intentional. He ran into him. And that's your judgment, that's why you guys gotta be watching every single thing. You know, I've had runners, or I've had fielders pull it, and I've called it where the kid's trying to steal second, and the second baseman kind of runs right through the running path as the runner's coming by and slows him down to get that throw to second. Same thing, he's obstructing him, he's slowing him down. The same thing with the fake tag. You know, kid's coming to second, goes, puts it down, forces the guy to slide. That's obstruction, third base. And it's just, you know, whatever it is, you've got to be watching it. Each team, I'm not going to say they're going to try to cheat, but they're going to try to get every advantage that they possibly can to win a game. Anything on that, John? Interference. Interference is the act by the team at bat which interferes with, obstructs, impedes, hinders, or confuses any fielder attempting to make a play. If the umpire declares the batter runner, or runner out for interference, all other runners shall return to the last base that they were at in the judgment of the umpire. Legally touched at the time of the interference. So you got to be watching that too. You got to watch where everybody's at, and that's where the help of your partner is going to come in. In the event that the batter runner has not reached first, all other runners should be put back at the time of the pitch. Defense interference is the act by the fielder which hinders or prevents a batter from hitting a pitch, which is also called what? Catcher's interference. Very good. So with the interference there, best thing to do is kids going down to field a ground ball, runner comes by, and as he's running, he flips and knocks the kid's head off. Well, now he's startled. He may bobble the ball, or he may, regain, try to throw, and the kid's safe at first. That's interference. You gotta let him give it. Just because, yes, the runner still has the right for the base path, but if he's in the base path fielding the ball, actively fielding it, that runner has to go around him. So you've got to be watching that as well. And it's not an easy thing to call. It's your judgment. Did he interfere or didn't he interfere? Because you'll have someone they'll be coming up to ground ball, and the guy runs past him, and all of a sudden they'll go, oh my God, he just interfered with me. Suck it up and deal with it, Buttercup. Let's go. You had plenty of time to make that play. So you're going to have guys that'll try to pull that stunt. So you just got to be always watching. I can't stress that enough. I'm not saying you guys will get it at the minors, but you get up in the majors and above, they're going to try to pull this stuff on you. Batter's interference. Interferes with the catcher throwing or fielding the ball by stepping out of the batter's box and making any other movement that hinders the catcher's play at home plate. Kid stealing third. Does the batter have to get out of the way? If he's in the batter's box, does the batter got to move?
No.
Why? That's his space. That's what he owns. It. He does not have to get out of the way. The catcher needs to throw around him. And you'll get coaches are, oh, he's interfering. No, coach, he's allowed to stand in his batter's box. You can't force him out of the batter's box. One thing too, if you have a play in the plate, do not tell the batter to get out of the box. That's not your job. That's coaching again. If the coach hasn't taught the kid to get out of the batter's box when there's a play coming home, that's on them. Because if you tell the kid to get out and you push him out of the way, and you just pushed him into the catcher, who's at fault? The umpire. Umpire's interference. So get it in your head. You're not coaching them. If the kid isn't smart enough to get out and the coach hasn't taught him how to get out of the way, and he interferes, that's all good for you because that's one out closer to going home. So like I said, it's not your choice. It's not your job to teach these kids how to play the game and where to stand and where not to stand. That's all on the coach. Catcher's interference we've already talked about. Umpire's interference. I've had this only a couple times. And that's basically, that goes back to that Buster Posey's picture. I get too close to that catcher, and I'm not quick enough. The catcher comes up to throw the ball to first, and it nails me in the face, and the ball goes flying, and the kid steals the base. I'm going to push that guy back on umpire's interference. Because if I had gotten out of the way, he would have made the throw, and we don't know if it was an out or safe. I don't know. I can't give you the base, but then again, I can't give them the out. So it's umpire's interference, you move the player back to the base that they were at. Must slide rule. There is no must slide rule. When any runner's out, when the runner does not slide or attempt to get around the fielder who has the ball and is waiting to the tag. You either slide, you give yourself up, or you avoid the collision. The minute you raise your arms, duck your head, tuck your shoulder, and drill the catcher, you're out and you're ejected. Plain and simple, short and sweet. Safety is number one. Key phrases. To attempt to get around, has the ball waiting for the tag. So if he's got the ball, he can block the play. And I said, he can put up that brick wall, you're not getting through. You're out. Or you're gonna run back to the last base you were at. If the fielder does not have the ball, and is blocking the plate or blocking the base, and there's a collision, then that becomes the obstruction. All right, but they can't still bowl him over. There can be some incidental contact that he's trying to get around, but if the guy is, doing one of these things to confuse him, that's definitely hindering the runner and its obstruction. You'll call it accordingly. Visits to the mound. How many visits does the coach have to talk to the pitcher? How many? Come on, give me a show of hands. One visit, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, how many?